Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we decode the secrets of the stock market one filing at a time. Today we're diving into C2 Blockchain Inc. and let me tell you, their latest report has some interesting moves that might just blockchain your expectations. This filing is a Form 8K, which is basically the company's way of telling us about big important stuff that happened outside of their regular financial reports. Think of it as a special announcement. So what's the big news from C2 Blockchain? Well, it looks like on July 15th, 2025, they made a deal with a third-party accredited investor. This investor bought 5 million shares of C2 Blockchain stock for just 2 cents a share, bringing in a cool $100,000 for the company. Now, these aren't just any shares, they're called restricted common stock. That means they can't be easily traded or sold right away, and they have a special sticker on them, a restrictive legend saying you can't easily sell them. This whole deal was a private placement. That's a way for companies to raise money directly from investors without going through the whole public stock market song and dance. They're using a specific legal exemption for this, Section 4 AE2 and Rule 506 by E, which are for situations like this where they're selling to a select group of sophisticated investors. And what are they doing with that $100,000? They say it's for general company stuff and to help with their day-to-day operations, which is pretty standard. But wait, there's more. Just a couple of weeks later, around July 29th, they did it again. This time they sold an even bigger chunk of stock, 12.5 million shares, to another accredited investor, also at 2 cents a share. This second deal brought in an estimated $250,000 for C2 Blockchain. Again, this was a private placement using the same legal exemptions. And yep, the money from this deal is also going towards general company needs and working capital. So in total, they've raised $350,000 from these two private sales of restricted stock. Now, looking at the company itself, C2 Blockchain is incorporated in Nevada, which is a common place for businesses to set up shop. Their commission filing number is 000056340, which is like their official SEC ID. And their IRS employer identification number is 8726455378. Their principal executive officers are listed as being in Miami, Florida. And if you needed to call them, their main number is 888-437-3432. They also have these boxes to check for other types of communications, like if this report was meant to go along with other sales materials, but it seems like none of those apply here. And here's an important one. C2 Blockchain is checking the box to say they are an emerging growth company. That means they're a newer company that can follow some easier rules when it comes to reporting. They're also indicating they haven't opted out of newer accounting standards, which is good to know for future comparisons. As with most filings, there's a standard cautionary note about forward-looking statements. Basically, they're saying that anything they say about the future, like their plans or what they expect to happen, is based on current beliefs and could change. Lots of things can affect their actual results, and they don't promise to update those statements if things change. It's just a legal way of saying, don't sue us if our predictions are wrong. The main event of this filing is under item 302, which is all about sales of stock that weren't registered with the SEC. This confirms the private placements we already talked about. It's important to note again that the investor is buying these shares for investment, not to quickly flip them. And those restrictive legends we mentioned mean they're locked up for a while. Also, the investors get what's called piggyback registration rights. This means if C2 Blockchain ever decides to register its shares for a public offering in the future, these investors can get their shares registered and sold along with the companies. One piece of good news is that they didn't have to pay any commissions or fees to brokers or agents for these sales. That means more of the money raised went directly into the company's pockets. Then there's the exhibit section, which basically says they've included an interactive data file for the cover page using something called XBRL. This is just a standard way of formatting financial data so computers can read it easily. And finally, the signatures. This is where the company's authorized person, in this case Levi Jacobson, the chief executive officer, officially signs off on the report, confirming that everything in it is true to the best of their knowledge. Dated August 6, 2025. So what's my take on all this? C2 Blockchain is making moves to raise capital, which is common for companies in their growth phase. Selling stock at 2 cents a share isn't ideal as it dilutes existing shareholders significantly, meaning their ownership percentage goes down. However, raising $350,000 without paying hefty fees is a win. The restricted stock and private placement nature suggests they are not yet ready for a full public offering or want to avoid the costs and scrutiny associated with it. The key here will be how they use this capital if it fuels significant growth and leads to more substantial revenue streams. These early stage fundraiser placement nature suggests they are not yet ready for a full public offering or want to avoid the costs and scrutiny associated with it. The key here will be how they use this capital. If it fuels significant growth and leads to more substantial revenue streams, these early stage fundraising efforts could pay off. But if the money is just to keep the lights on, then it paints a less optimistic picture. Alright, that's our breakdown of C2 Blockchain's latest filing. What's your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description to join the conversation. Thanks for watching. See you next time.